How's it going, everyone? In today's video, we're going to be creating a lid which we can place on tin cans. And I know you might be thinking, this doesn't really look like a lid. There's a huge hole in it. And the reason there's a huge hole in this lid is because when I'm designing something, I hate wasting plastic, since I'm not really an expert yet on getting the dimensions right the very first time. So I like to save as much plastic as possible, and when I actually get the correct dimensions, I can remove that hole. But it's a very simple project that is actually quite fun to create in FreeCAD, one of the most difficult softwares I've ever had to learn. And yeah, let's just get started with creating a new project so that we can create this lid from scratch. So to do so, I'm going to create a new document, and right now it's called unnamed, which is fine. And what we're going to do here is create a new body. Then we're going to create a new sketch on the XY plane. And we're going to use the circle tool, which will create a circle from the center. And we want this to be 104 millimeters wide. And I've measured this for the can that I'm currently using. The actual diameter is 100 millimeters. But since this is the lid and the outer part, I wanted to give it some extra room. Then we can click on Close. And now we have a beautiful circle. Next, we're going to click on the Pad tool. And we're going to raise it by 4 millimeters to give it a thickness. And then tap on OK. Also, cool tip, if you ever get lost in your design, you can tap on 0. I guess 0 does not recenter it. Yeah, so I was wrong with the 0 part. 0 just makes it an isometric view, which is good for rotation. But if you want to center the object, you need to hold down V plus F, and it will center your object. Otherwise, let's go back to what I was saying earlier. If you have the shape rotated in some weird direction and you want to reset it to an isometric view, you can click or tap on 0 and it will reset it, which is quite nice. So V plus F to center the object or to fit it in the view. And in any case, if you have it at a weird angle, tap on 0 and it will give you the isometric view. And both of those tools can be found up here. The isometric view is here, and you can see a lot of views here as well. Otherwise, the Fit All view is located right here. Anyway, right now we're going to tap on the top of the lid, or technically this is the bottom, and we're going to create a new sketch. And we want to grab another circle. It doesn't really matter how far you drag it out because we're going to change the dimensions here to 101. I'm giving it a tolerance of 1 millimeter, since the can itself was measured to be 100 millimeters. And if you create an object to be exactly the same width as the one you measured, chances are it's not going to fit because of the expansion of the plastic or because of the shrinkage. So it's good to give it a leeway, which I'm still playing around with. I found 101 millimeters to be perfect for the can that I'm working with. And then we can click on Close. So next, we're going to click on this sketch, and we're going to create a pocket of 3 millimeters. And we're going to set the taper to 10 degrees. So it gets wider towards the top. And this makes it much easier to put the lid on, because even if the start of the circle is too slim, it gets bigger towards the end, which means it will fit much more easily. And I feel like I didn't really explain myself that well, so I'm going to try to zoom in a bit and drag it. As you can see with the angle here, it gets a bit wider towards the top of the lid, which means the initial fit might be a bit too tight, but you can snap it into place since there's more leeway towards the top. It goes at an outward angle. That's what the taper angle does. Otherwise, we'd have a perfectly straight cylinder, which I took away from you guys. As you can see there, if we do not include a taper angle, we have a perfectly straight cylinder inside the lid. But what we want is 10, so it goes slightly outward. Now I'm going to hold down VF and 0, because there's one last thing to do, and that is create the hole in the lid. And this makes it easier to print prototypes, because of course you don't want to waste so much plastic when you are printing a lid, so adding a cylinder that cuts out a lot of that plastic makes sense when you are prototyping. So now let's create a new sketch, and we're going to create one more circle, which I'll set to 90 millimeters. And we're going to click on Close, then click on Pockets. And it doesn't really matter as long as this pocket goes through the top of the lid. We just want to create a hollow part. And I will save this document as lid tutorial. And now, when you print this on your 3D printer, what you should end up with is a ring which you can place on the can you're trying to create a lid for. Personally, I left it as is because I thought it's such a cool way to decorate the cans I have. In case I want to fill the cans with things, I just found it to be very useful. Otherwise, once you have the dimensions, you can always just delete this and you'll end up with a perfectly fine lid. And in the previous tutorial, I didn't really explain how to export this, so real quickly I'm going to show you. What you want to do here is click on the body and make sure everything's selected. Then you can hold Command+E to export. Otherwise, you're going to have to find out what your shortcut is, because I imagine a lot of people don't use MacBooks for this. And here, under the File section, or the File tab, you'll see your shortcut for exporting. Then you can choose what kind of extension you want to use to export the file. In this example, I will just export it as a step file and click on Save. And these are the settings that I'm currently using. I'll just click on OK. And with all that being done, we will have the step file. And the last step is to drag your step file into your slicer. And this is what it should look like. Again, I'm very happy with the hole here because it saves a lot of plastic and allows me to print it relatively quickly. But yeah, that just about covers everything I wanted to talk about in today's video. In the next video, we will learn how to create a toy brick. And feel free to leave any recommendations or any requests in the comment section down below. And I'll try my best to create tutorials based on those recommendations.